fun with.
I don't know. I just found this. I just found like I got to do something with my background because it's it's just showing my bed, but oh, you can't do it during the recording.
Right.
Oh, this is it, boys. This
you
is it
should
for
get
this
your
one.
background to us, Chris, of your headboard, so we could put it behind ours too.
and the Liberace chandelier.
We're all in the same.
You guys
bed.
always shopping at.
Like,
You guys
take a
always shopping
picture
in the
of it,
world
and I'm
together.
gonna get it like blown up at FedEx, and I'll just put it
Just put it
behind me, and it'll look like we're at.
They would believe it because I'm such a cheap Polak. I would buy like 3 of them because they're on sale.
But Chris, you're the consummate Pole. Like,
Yeah.
our listeners will know. Like, people will say to me, like, Chris, man, he's blunt. He just comes right out and says that I love it or whatever. And I'm like, have you ever met Polish people? They
Right.
they don't.
fuck
Did you
around.
see?
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't,
Did you see that?
And go ahead, Chris.
No, did you see that guy's speech in Europe? They don't. I don't need your engineers. I don't need your doctors. I don't. Boom, 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 boom. And Debbie looks at me. She goes, "It sounds like you, just not really with the Polish accent."
Right. And the idea that the Polish people do that from a place of goodness. I mean,
Right,
they're Slavic in
It's
nature.
strength.
And if you don't know anything about Polish history, we kind of screwed the Poles a lot in World War I and into World War II. Like, Poland was like, hey, a lot of us got killed by the Germans. A lot of Jews got killed in Poland. A lot of Poles got killed because the Germans felt that they were subhuman in some ways, the Slavic people. And then at the end, it was all said and done. The Germans like, hey, have a little something for the effort. And we're like, yeah, we're going to give you to the Soviet Union now. And the Poles are like, hold on. We're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurial people. And they've been waiting forever. And, Pope John Paul II, solidarity, all that stuff that they came up with. And when you meet Polish people, they're like, look, enough. We have put up with enough of this nonsense from the rest of the world. And we're not going to apologize for what we believe.
Right.
And they're not doing it from a place where they hate. Like, those people were put upon worse than anybody else. As a single nation, you can look at them and say they were just pawns in this whole thing. FDR knew what was going on with the Polish intelligence sources that were coming out of there. And then we were like, man, we'll get to it when we get to it. No, when it's all done, the three of us are going to decide, Stalin, FDR, and Churchill, we're going to decide, we'll just give Poland over to the Soviets. We'll make it just a Soviet bloc nation. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. There's more to this. I'm sure there's history people going, oh, cringe. But the bottom line is like when you deal with Polish people, you're like, hey, what you see is what you get because you're tired of the bullshit. And everywhere they go, they make places better. I mean, Chris, obviously, look at that backdrop you got going behind you right now.
I got the little typewriter here. I've been experimenting. I got the little typewriter going back there. I got like the books. Like, look, I even got the globe. I even got a globe back there.
Look, inspired Scott to actually take on the readers as well. Look at him.
Look at him. He's chewing on the glasses.
Folks,
he's gonna have a headache by the time this is over.
This is extra. This is extra material right now. You have to go to our video to watch Scott. Yeah, you see the glare is a big issue, dude. I'm telling you, you gotta get
You gotta get used to it. You should go with the half ones, like I have. Like the half glasses is a little easier.
Right.
Ben Franklin.
Got to get those click together ones. Then.
Right.
Okay, doctor.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie here.
Doctor.
But
anyway, get back to the Polacks. Did you see the video? Yes. Not only was the guy taking it to him at the EU, but they had. You got to look it up because it was Islamic terrorists or whatever it was, or whatever they were saying. They were trying to cross the border illegally, and the civilians, and the civilians came out. They call it their patriots. They were like, no. So you had like, and everybody had their shirt off. Everybody was probably, I don't know, 6'2", 260. And you could tell tuck pointing does your body good.
Right. They were the Polish Proud Boys, basically, is what they were.
Yeah. And the Polish government goes, what am I going to do? Stop them? Yakshimash. What are you going to do?
Yakshimash.
Right. Well, it's
they're patriots.
Dubja.
They look, whether you agree with this or not, there's clearly an invasion going on in Europe in a non-traditional sense. And the fact is that this was welcomed by the leadership of the EU and most nations. And you're seeing a backlash of it. You're seeing a backlash of it way worse than you saw in the United States. I don't care what anybody says. Like when people say, oh, look, when you go to an American sporting event, people are fighting all the time. Yeah, because, soccer hooligans, they don't fight with each other and things like that.
Right.
Europe always gets this gentrified past. Like they had nothing to do with all this shit that happened in the modern world. And no offense to our European listeners, but the bottom line is the Poles, like I said, are not going to put up with it anymore, and they're putting their foot down and saying, we're not taking a single one. We're going to follow the rules or whatever. Now, obviously, that's not going to gain them any favor anywhere in the world, but like some of the stuff that they're doing is a little wild. Like the one guy that
but they don't care. Then don't come.
That almost set himself on fire, burning the EU flag out on the street there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He brought gasoline with him and he poured it on there, and he nearly set himself on fire. But he was burning the EU flag. I mean, they're sending a clear message, whether you agree with it or not. And they're not going to put up with it. Their streets are safe. Crime is not a problem there. They'll tell you that. And,
right.
And
their chimneys are straight.
Right.
But no, but if you look at it, like they are on the, like, if you're not going to come through a port legally, don't come. Just don't do it. And now I feel bad, like for Italy. She might be my new celebrity crush, the Prime Minister of Italy. Right. So yeah. So you got her. You got France, you got Germany. They're all now trying to play catch up because, and this is just my opinion and not opinion of the show, that they saw Trump going, yeah, we're going to enforce the laws that we have. Now they got to play catch up like we do because they're having stabbings in the streets. They're having, robberies, burglaries, people getting hurt, killed, or whatever. Now everybody's going, yeah, we don't have to take illegal aliens, or we don't have to take migrants, immigrants. We don't have to. We have to take care of our own. And I just think it's good. I think the whole world's going through a whole revelation between, men being able to be men, Christians being able to be Christians, people taking back their country, people looking at crime, except Illinois. But you know what I'm saying?
But by and large, it's an idea of, I think most places say we welcome you, but you're not coming here to change our culture,
right?
And make us subservient in the nation that we built, that you came to get all this free stuff, to get away from the country in which you lived and didn't for centuries. And people don't want to admit these things, and like, oh, you guys are a bunch of racist, bigoted, Reader was wearing white guys from the Midwest. Actually, first and foremost, I'm not from the Midwest, so you guys know, you guys are, and that's how people from the Midwest are much less rude than most your average Pole, I would say. Wouldn't you, Chris?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a soft Pole.
Right, you're a soft Pole. What? Get hymns for that.
I am now, but anyway.
But it's don't take offense to it. I mean, all the Poles act that way. So, Chris, we're trying to soften your image, especially with that background.
Right. But we are. But I just think you're just seeing it, and it has nothing to do with being racist, or it doesn't have nothing to has got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with doing things legally, allowing people into our country, and I'll be honest with you, I followed the news pretty well, but I never realized how big this immigration issue is around the world until I saw the guys in Germany the other day, Ireland, Scotland. I never realized how big of a problem it is worldwide, and because now I think everybody's taking action and taking back what they want to be theirs to protect it. And I'm like, again, we talked about this before. I just think there's a lot of catching up to do, but it's going down the right path. And I'll tell you what, I think everybody should have one of those Polish water guns. Did you ever see?
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Going down a path, that's for sure. A different path than it's gone down before. People
coming
are standing
to you from
up.
the Casimir Pulaski Library.
Right here.
The Casimir Pulaski Library.
Look at that, with the globe in the back.
with the background. Anyway, it's good that we get to talk about these things because it lets Chris vent all that Polish energy, that Polish
all that
pride,
kielbasa building up in my blood.
Right.
Zimna. That's the only Polish word I know. I'm fairly know. Anyway, Scooter,
hey, real
you got
quick,
something good for us?
Real quick. I was looking at the story.
I thought you were going to say a Polish joke. I'm like, come on, give it to me.
I was looking at the story of that Aiden guy, and I didn't realize that we had already started. That's why I thought I was fucking around and still said like Joe Kwasniewski. So you'll have to take all that shit out that I was saying there at the beginning because I was trying to read his email real quick and I didn't see the fucking countdown. So
I thought that was funny.
Speaking of Polacks,
anyway, go ahead. But we got a couple stories today that we want to cover with you all now that we've gotten through the
through my Polish venting.
Polish venting, Polish air conditioning, right there.
Right.
The first one is something that I'd first heard of here in South Carolina. One of the universities, their police forces were using it, and I was a little unnerved by it. It was presented to us all, every officer in the state, had to do some training on understanding of it at least, or as a a side note to a thing. And I was a little like, wait a minute, what? Hold on a second. And we'll get into some of these details as to why, I was concerned about it. I mean, like I believe in free speech. I believe in people being accountable for things that they say and do. You got to remain professional on the job, but you also have to be a human being to do our work. And there's some technology out there that Scott's going to go into a little bit of detail on us that a major department in the country, Phoenix, is adopting, and it's artificial intelligence driven, in which body camera footage is going to be reviewed, and they're labeling it as we're looking for incidents where AI can pick up on certain words and things that are happening that can determine twofold. Is an officer burning out, which I think is just some sugarcoating thing to tell us, like, oh, we're looking out for you guys. Or the flip side is, are we seeing a lot of misconduct from officers from it? And AI is so new, and we're, obviously we're rushing into it. There's so many things to talk about with AI and law enforcement, but this is one of those areas that I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. How has this been vetted? Who's standing behind this? Who is like in the national level saying, yeah, this is good for your agencies? And there's three guys that did the job for a while, and currently we still do and have to wear body cameras. Some of the concerns that we have with it. So, Scott, if you can kind of take us down that path for us, and we can kind of get into it from there.
Yeah. So this is Phoenix, where we talked before about the consent decree when a few episodes back when we were talking about all that and community involvement with consent decrees and what was taking place in Phoenix, which they were saying that they were having a lot of excessive force issues and some other things. So that was what they were trying to correct. Well, now add this program. They call it an early warning program to flag potentially problematic behavior and misconduct. Now, when we all worked together originally years ago, we had something similar where, and a lot of agencies do, where they track use of force incidents, citizen complaints. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Every police department does that. But you could go back and say, okay, so-and-so had this many, use of force instances, had this many complaints. The problem with that people would often argue, and we would argue, is, hey, wait a second. There's so many variables in this about what part of what city do you work in? How big of a city? How small of a city? Do I work one part of the city that is a much higher crime area, more drugs and gang problems and things, than this complete opposite side of the city? So, we always kind of like, you have to take that with a grain of salt. But this one now with the AI and taking this from the body cams, the thing that, one of the things that I think it's kind of disturbing. It says, it's predictive software that analyzes data to flag behaviors that could lead to policy violations. So this thing is just monitoring everything that you're doing. And what they use it under the guise of, well, it collects personal data, combs through dozens of variables to identify officers who are experiencing things like burnout or are racking up complaints and repeatedly using use of force measures. So, okay, I'll tell you what. Yes, if you are a person who is out excessively using force, that's going to be well known pretty quick nowadays. You know what I mean? Gone are the days of like, oh, that's the guy that roughs everybody up and that kind of stuff. That you technology and phones and video and audio and everything has changed that significantly. But yes, if you maybe do have a problematic person who's using too much force, but now what I think is going to happen is there's a lot of times when force is justified. And just because an officer has maybe used force multiple times, say over the period of a year, it doesn't mean that that's a bad officer or he's using excessive force. Again, you have to go back to where does this officer work? Who are the kind of people that he's encountering? What does his job assignment do? Is he a patrol officer on day shift? Is he a patrol officer on night shift? Does he work a specialty assignment? Does he work attack assignment where you're getting involved probably with a lot more criminal activity? And the whole thing, I mean, again, to Sean's point, it's like, oh, AI, and this is going to, this is going to change the dynamic of everything. Well, why are we not criticized and critiqued enough that now we're going to add another? We've already given you body cams. People have been wearing body cams for several years now. And there's a lot of stuff out there that's actually come back to show, you know what? Officers really don't treat people as bad as everybody says they do all the time.
Exactly, Scooter.
Right?
Exactly.
And there has been evidence and incident after incident where body cams have come back and said, no, this person didn't treat this person this way, but we were so quick to jump all over the cops about it. Well, apparently that's not good enough. So now we're even going to, on top of it, we're going to use AI technology that's constantly monitoring officers' behavior and attitude and actions. And we're going to say, of course, they have to say that, well, it's for their own well-being and their mental. You're doing us a big favor by doing this for us. No, what's going to happen is you're going to have the opposite effect, because you're going to have good cops that go out and are working and arresting people and taking the people to jail that need to go to jail and dealing with the people that are fighting with cops every single day. And you're going to get you're going to get hung out there to dry and say, oh, look at this officer. Oh, look at all these variables we've been monitoring. This guy's got a high chance of burnout. He's going to have mental health problems. He's having too many instances of use of force.
But here's the thing. You're talking about AI. And the thing is, AI, it just scrubs the internet for the information. Now it's good, but here's the variable. If you look up Christopher Sherwin won the lottery 1986 or something. I don't know, whatever it was, but it wasn't me.
Is that when you married Deb? Is that when you married Debbie?
Yeah, she'd be the first one I'd marry when I won the lottery. But how do you know what Chris Sherwin is and what Chris Sherwin, what Scott Thorson is and what Sean, like who's who? Number one, number two, what are the guidelines for what you think is an early warning? Number three, we've had this for years. It was called internal affairs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if I got into too many shootings or too many fights or whatever, then I should get pulled by AI going, hey, what's going on? But if they're monitoring it and they're looking at it going, okay, Officer Smith works in the worst part of Chicago or the worst part of Champaign or whatever, and he gets in a fight once a week, I mean, okay, that's about average, so what are the parameters? Like you said, Scott, is it going to be different if you're in District 2 as compared to District 8 or, Sector 1 as compared to Sector 4? Like, what are your parameters? It's just more.
Right. And one of the people behind this, this police research agency or whatever it's called, they have to throw in there that they stress that it's not meant to be punitive. Rather, it will be purely proactive and preventative, allowing supervisors to provide their officers with additional training and mental health resources. No,
but they should. No, it's not, because they have that now. Like, if you're a sergeant, you don't know how many times Officer Jones got into a fight last week, then you're a bad boss. Mm-hmm. If you can't intervene going in there going, hey, what's going on? You normally get into one fight a week. Now it's 3. Now it's 4. Now I see this, or I see this in you. What's going on? Number one, if you don't, and preventative, it's not preventative. That's bullshit. What it is because just like the traffic stop, just like they did the body cams, they're not getting the results that they want. Look at the tickets. They wanted to racially profile the tickets. We did that for 5 years. They got nothing. And then they changed them. They still got nothing. It's the same thing. They're not trying to prevent anything. They're trying to show how bad policemen are, and it's just wrong, because you have supervisors that should be watching this. You have internal affairs, and this all gets. And now I'm not talking about years ago. I'm talking about now. Mm-hmm. Since we've been on the job, it's been a lot more. It's been a lot more closely watched.
Right.
Because you have so many guys per sergeant, and that sergeant should know his guys or girls, and they need to address that early, and people have started to do that. An AI program is not going to do it. I'm sorry. There's still things that still need a human touch, and AI is not that. AI cannot tell me that, Scott had a fight with Chrissy yesterday, so he's a little bit upset today. So maybe
this is strict. That's almost science fiction. Right?
That's what I'm saying. This is strictly hypothetical. I'm just using us.
Okay, one time.
Right. One argument.
Or you guys, see that, Debbie ran an Escalade into the only pole in the parking lot with nobody else in there,
right.
and but you guys know as a team what's going on with each other, and you could tell when somebody's off, and you could address it. They want a computer to take away that human touch, that human emotion, that human perspective of what's going on, and all they're trying to do is just prove how bad the police are. And I'm sorry, AI is not the answer. It's just not.
I mean, look at everything else that we've done with, to your point of where we started and now, and how every single thing that you do, your radio is tracked. Typically your radio is assigned to you. People know who you are.
Right.
I don't know of a lot of places anymore that are going to just pulling the random radios off the shelf like they used to and get in your car and go. And they know which radio is in the car. Every single keystroke you make on the computer in the car is tracked. The car has GPS on it. The car has an in-car camera most places. Plus you have your body cam. I mean,
and now you have your body camera being scrutinized with AI.
Right.
And they wonder why no one's lining up to do this work anymore. And they wonder why our productivity, they call it proactive. Guess what used to be proactive? Policing. And it made neighborhoods safer. This is going to be proactive. And they told us told us for years proactive policing was wrong. It was racially profiling. It was picking on the wrong people. It wasn't helping these neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are begging for us to be back. Now we're taking this software and putting it on cops. Again, I'm going to tell you folks, we're not doing anything wrong out there, but everybody is like everybody. It's like I got to go in a confessional booth every single time I come to work and confess, because if I say something wrong, you know what? The best way to do it is to avoid it. I will avoid anything that will allow me to be scrutinized by my boss. Some guy's cursing me out at the side of a car, belittling me, calling me all sorts of names. I go back to my car with my body camera on, and I'm dropping F-bombs like, who's this motherfucker think he is getting to talk to me? Like, this is such bullshit. That is what you need to just get it out so you can go back up there and be professional. Now that's going to be on body camera. Now it's going to be scrutinized. I'm not saying it's not on body camera now, but it's not being scrutinized in a level where AI is going to pick up on it and say, he said fuck at this time. Some of these places are programming it in to say foul language and things along those lines. It's like the officer's using it's an indicator of the fact that he is stressing out and doing whatever. Sometimes it's just to release. Like, Mark Twain had a saying about, what cursing prevents in the world of violence is immeasurable. Basically, I'm paraphrasing what he said. It's like lots of times saying a curse word just helps you get over whatever it is you're dealing with, as opposed to going to force. And if I'm a police officer and I'm thinking, well, it's just for me, it's for me, and I'm getting called in every 10 seconds like they did with use of force incidents, like Scott said, guess what you do? You stop doing it, because they're like, oh, so you must be having a meltdown, or hey, we're just looking out for you. But hey, man, you cursed a little bit on that last stop, and that could get you in a little bit of trouble. As opposed to letting the guy run all over me and maybe beat my ass and kill me because he doesn't take me seriously, because he comes from a culture where the F word is like every word you can possibly
It's like,
use.
please,
It doesn't offend the individual to whatever. So I'm speaking to him in a manner that he's comfortable with and I'm comfortable with, so he understands where I'm coming from and he doesn't think I'm some goof pogue that's some, what was that movie? That movie, it's like that movie with Wesley Snipes in it and Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone. It's called Demolition Man. And they were charging you for every time you did something that was offensive. Meanwhile, crime was out of control, and we didn't know how to deal with people that were being that aggressive. I'm not saying that everybody should be out there just F-bombing it up every single time.
No.
The bottom line is, like, you're going to get called in and scrutinized for that. Are they going to set these parameters low? Are they going to be able to analyze what it is? Is the sergeant going to look at this and go, why am I talking to this guy about this? This is how everybody talks to each other. Nobody's offended. They're actually all laughing and leaving at the same time. But because he said fuck, we're sitting this guy down and talking to him. Well, that's unprofessional for an officer. Again, we have to be everything to everyone. I'm not going to go to a foreign country like Poland and start using words that are going to offend those people. I'm not going to put, as this one guy talked about, it's funny that you said this, Chris, we're not saluting gay Christmas trees. Now, we might find that offensive in the United States, but a Polish person doesn't find that offensive. That statement they agree with.
Right.
Now, if I go into that culture and I start demanding that they adopt my, my mindset or my train of thought, I'm not going to be received very well. And the same thing.
Nah, you're going to get a visit from Vlad.
Right. A boot in the ass.
Stanislaw.
Yeah. And those those are the things that are concerning about hearing this stuff. It's like, again, nobody really knows about it. Phoenix going to it. I'm sure they're briefing their guys on it and explaining what's going on. But does the media understand it? Is there going to be access to this from the public from a FOIA standpoint? Like, hey, I want to see the
exactly. How is AI going to get that?
Yeah,
how is AI going to get that? How is AI going to get that footage?
Taxpayers are supporting this technology because the department doesn't have a budget to buy for that. And if the budget is, they don't raise money themselves. This is taxpayer dollars. So somebody's going to go out there and go, I want to see the reports where all of the communication and what the agency did to deal with this officer that curses a lot. Like, how is the media going to respond to that? Are we going to be answering for that nonstop?
By the way, for this?
Yeah. So how? So
yeah.
So they're spending $3.5 million on something that needs to be FOIA'd anyway. So where's all this data going? What database isn't going there? And what does it say? Hey, you know what? There was a triple murder. 2 babies and a mom, and then the guy killed himself. I'm going to say that Officer So-and-so was on that thing that, that he started yelling, and I want to see that footage. Now you had that footage go out. Like where does it end? Like what are the parameters?
Well, I'll tell you what, like, and you can read between the lines on this article, and if people want to see it, it's fsuwire.usa today if people want to see it. But what kills me is you read that part where I said, purely proactive, preventative, it's the goal is to have happy, healthy. Here's the quote. The goal is to have happy, healthy officers. One paragraph later, one of the councilmen said that the council's decision marked another step to reform the department following years of documented police violence. Don't tell me it's for happy healthy officers. Right. This isn't a bunch of sunshine and rainbows bullshit. This is you doing more things to try to clamp down on officers that you think are going to be problematic or having some kind of problems or tracking. Everybody has a bad day at work. Okay. I don't care what you do, what kind of job you do. And to like your guys' point, language is becoming a thing where some things that people are saying to people on the street nowadays that were said 20, 25 years ago, people would have brushed off like, what?
Right.
But again, it's specific to the situation. Right. Sometimes some people who have had a lot of interaction with law enforcement through the years, and I don't mean good law interaction, you know what? Sometimes that person responds to a different kind of verbal judo than the old lady who's asking you for directions to Cracker Barrel. Okay. I'm not talking about walking around and motherfucking everybody, but sometimes people need to be told to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And if you don't say that, to Sean's point, some people will actually look at you in a hostile situation and think you're soft or you're a mark. Like I can get over on this guy because he's not really serious. He's not sure of himself.
Right.
And
you wonder though, if this was, as we talked about in past shows, like they didn't get their consent decree, and certain people wanted the consent decree in Phoenix, and it didn't happen. Now we have a new DOJ that's pretty much like, we're not doing consent decrees anymore because it doesn't solve anything. Is this a response to feed a mob? And again, the thing that we're saying is, if this can be used effectively, it'd be great. But name in the last 10 years something we've gotten that has changed completely to be used effectively and turned the tide and said, oh my God, this is going so well. It's really helping with recruiting. It's really helping with less violence in inner cities. Nothing. Everything that they're doing, they're just saying it's the cop's fault. Let's monitor the shit out of him. We're the only people in government that have to wear body cameras everywhere we go. Are we the only people in government that's doing something wrong? I mean, like, you could look at any Capitol building and you could look at the Capitol Hill right now with what's going on and wonder to yourself, why aren't you wearing one if you're in chambers as a member of the House of Representatives or Senate? When somebody's coming to visit you to talk about legislation they want to help support or whatever, why is your body camera not on, Senator, to talk about to make sure that you're not receiving any kind of like impropriety in this, even though we're putting people in prison for that from that building all the time? Why are we the only ones? Why are judges that are getting caught looking at child pornography, doing all sorts of improper things, legislating from the bench? Why are they not wearing body cameras when they have private meetings with attorneys? Oh, that would interrupt the attorney-client privilege. I think to myself, we're the only ones they're putting this on, and where it's all falling apart is on the streets in America right now. And the people that have to pick up these pieces are cops, and now you're adding another thing that not every agency, maybe Phoenix will handle this swimmingly. It'll be great. The Phoenix police will be the happiest and healthiest police officers in America because of that. But the bottom line is, do you think that's going to transcend the 80,000 other agencies that are out there?
Right.
No, they're going to be used as tools to harm people, to say, you did this wrong, you said that wrong, you said this word here, that's offensive. And it's going to be like speech police for cops.
Yeah.
Right.
And like Chris said, there's so much of this is about leadership as well. Like if you have good frontline supervisors and you have good supervisors all the way up and you have the right people who handle your complaints and your internal affairs type situations, that's a huge part of it, because those are the those frontline people and your peers are the people that should be seeing you going, hey, this guy's really having a hard time, or maybe I need to have a talk with him. I know that doesn't solve every single thing, but as a frontline supervisor and even all the way up your chain of command, those are things that should be being brought to people's attention. If there's this guy who's just going rogue and doing a lot of shit that's out of line from how he acts on a day-to-day basis, somebody should be intervening with them. Not trying to build a case on him, what is coming off of his body cam.
Exactly. No, and I just think it's one of those things that you're seeing that this change, and at some point, people are going to have to be told, no, we're just not. We're not doing that. We're not.
You know what you hope this becomes? You hope this becomes red light cameras. Everybody at first bought into those. Get red light cameras. Get red light cameras.
Right.
Some states still use them because they're desperate for money, and that's the main reason why people are using red light cameras. It removes all sorts of. It's AI basically with a camera. The camera decides like when you're getting a ticket, when you're not. It's not based upon safety. It's about high volume, where you can get most people that will violate a rule in an intersection or whatever. And a lot of states banned them, completely banned them, and said these were just completely. Everybody hated them so much. I'm thinking that if this is misused, this technology is misused, it could go by the red light camera, because what they're going to realize is people are going to go, I'm not going to work for that agency because they scrutinize you on every little last thing you say. And it's all under the guise of, like, it's AI peer support. Is that what this is? Bullshit. We can't even pull off peer support with humans, much less making computers. They're going to, like, I don't personally, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There's something that has to happen out on the street between a police officer and the person that he's serving. And if every little last thing is going to be triggered by some word that's put in by an AI algorithm, or I'm raising my voice because I'm talk louder because I'm partially deaf or whatever, all of these things are going to create an extra workload that everyone's just going to get completely fatigued by it. And the answer is, for you, the members of the public, just like with red light cameras, nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to help you. And it's just like you get in trouble for whatever they say.
And it's just like you said, you can adjust. Like if you ask AI, if you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, can you write me a lease because I'm renting an apartment? It'll write you a lease. But if you go in there and say, hey, can you please act like a lawyer from the state of Illinois and write me a lease for a 1-bedroom apartment, 1,200 square feet for 12 months? Same question, different parameters, see what you get. You're going to go from a 1-page lease to a 3-page lease if you tell it how to act and what you're looking for. That's what I'm saying. It's just AI is good, but you have to have parameters of it. And I just think that you're throwing this into a social bucket that people are going to have a lot of access, and it's people are going to be getting in trouble, and people are going to be getting information that's not 100% accurate.
Chris, is that waterfront property? The Mighty DuPage? Is it overlooking the Mighty DuPage from Illinois?
You said least Cook County or least DuPage County?
Which county was it? Anyway.
It looks at the water. That's a puddle. That's a pothole, actually, but
pool or a pond.
There's a
pool or a pond.
They still get you for the waterfront property if it's it's a retention.
Well, because they never fix those things.
We still got those fountains in the subdivision here. I know you missed that.
But we always, on that note, we'll wrap. We always like to hear from our listeners. And this past week, we heard from a listener that reached out to us about a question that it's a little concerning. His name is Aiden, and Aiden, we appreciate you listening and reaching out to us with some of these questions. And Chris, if you want to go ahead and take us through what Aiden was talking about, we can maybe help him out and provide.
I'm just gonna read this straight out. This is from Aiden. Thanks for this, and it's a very, very good question. It's going to be a hard answer, but it says, starting off with the fact that I have respect for law enforcement. I got a friend in Homeland Security, another that's a captain in the FBI, another that's a patrol officer in Iowa, and my pastor is a reserve officer in a city in Iowa. So to bring up this topic, I mean no disrespect, and absolutely not. We don't take it that way. So Aiden's wife and he fostered two twin boys from a city in Iowa. The twins had 7 and 8 broken ribs at 3.5 months old, and one had such a bad brain bleed that he had to have 2 drain fluid in his head from being shaken so bad. Aiden had the boys for another 2 years, and the return of their mother, detective in the city, closed a criminal case in just a couple of months, and no charges were given. They never questioned the biological parents in interrogation, and then 2.2 8-pound, 3.5-month-old boys were beaten so bad, and no justice was ever done. How can such a thing go without punishment? He has deferred judgment misdemeanor assault charges without hitting someone, but 2 beautiful boys were beaten, underfed, and found out sexually abused with a slap on their hand, with a slap on the hand to their monsters. Thank you for the time. I will continue to listen to you all. Well, Aiden, since I have the mic, I'm going to start. I feel for you, and I thank you, and I applaud you for being the hero that you are, for taking these boys in. That takes a special person to do that. As far as criminal charges and what happened to the biological parents or didn't happen, there's so many agencies that are involved with DCF, the police department, and not having the facts of the case. The enforcement report about it is that when it comes to parents and parental rights, and the rules and the laws and the statutes behind that, it's very hard to take children from parents. And why the detective closed it, I don't know. Again, I don't have the facts of the case or the case to review, and I'm not going to armchair quarterback anybody. But what I am going to do is I'm going to let you know that it is a very difficult thing to get parents or to get children from parents, and I'm going to go under the umbrella of that detective's hands were probably tied with whatever he had at hand, and he really didn't get a lot of help from DCF and or DCFS, and the boys ended up in the system, and it's unfortunate that they got away with it because it just happens way too much. It's not an explanation. It's not a solid explanation. It's just the fact that I just don't think that there's enough resources to handle this properly, and the biological parents have a lot of rights that extend out, that what is criminal, they do get slaps on the wrist because they give them chances to be a parent.
Yeah, I think to just kind of go off what Chris says too. I mean, again, we don't know all the circumstances of this. I mean, it certainly sounds awful, and I do give him a lot of credit for being the kind of person to take these kids in and hopefully try to make a better life for them, if at least just temporarily. None of us were ever violent crimes detectives, but you don't have to be a violent crimes detective to know and see things. We've all been on calls and been involved in situations where you've seen abusive families, abuse towards kids in a home. We've taken those reports. We've talked to those people. We've seen things that, appear to be those types of things, maybe not quite as severe as what he's talking about here. But yes, there's so many things that are involved. You don't know the size of the organization, what kind of facts they had towards this. Speaking from a personal standpoint, I never really had a lot of great interactions with DCFS and the things that I had to do. Again, it's not a knock on any specific people, but whether it's just maybe a caseload that's too huge to put enough time into things. Again, I'm just throwing out some theories here because I don't know what, but certainly, I mean, I'm sure this detective spent time investigating it. I'm sure they went to a state's attorney and told them what kind of evidence they have, what kind of evidence they got from, doctors' reports and medical reports from these kids going to the hospital. But again, kind of like Chris said, sometimes even in some of these situations where you see kids that appear to be victims of child abuse, parents are given an opportunity to, take classes, get counseling, do the kinds of things to prove that they can be parents. Maybe there's a substance abuse thing. Maybe there's a whole gamut of things that they will maybe make an attempt to say, okay, we're going to ultimately try to get these kids back with their parents. This one certainly sounds egregious, and I can't speak to why there weren't any criminal charges in that, but those are just kind of some of the things that I would think of when I hear of that kind of situation.
for me, it's kind of a systemic thing. Those folks that do that work in DCFS or child services, whatever your state calls it, are overworked and underpaid. I mean, it's also a thankless job. We go to calls where sometimes we see funny things, and we often talk about them on this show. But DCFS people are usually dealing with very tragic things on everything they're dealing with. It's somebody like the ultimate in like responsibility comes in being a parent, and how often do they see that not happen? So every single day they got to get up and face that and see these kind of things. I'm sure there's burnout. I'm sure there's folks that there's quite a bit of turnover we don't even know or begin to understand. One of the things that happened during COVID is they weren't considered essential employees, which meant that they didn't go out and check on people because of the viruses. And there was an uptick in a lot of violence in the foster care system, as well as, what you do for kids, adoptions and everything like that, because the system just shut down, ground to a halt. Well, for a kid, particularly a 2-year-old, a year might as well be a decade to people our age. I mean, that is a long, long time to be out without that structure. To Scott's point, parents are often given a chance to reconcile ourselves. Our entire system is based upon getting a break. You are an addict. You're trying to do what's right. You're not the person that you normally are. You seek out help. Anybody will tell you that's dealing with an addict, they don't necessarily recover the first time. They just got to keep moving forward. I think there's like some averages out there. Some people say like 12 attempts at recovery. Is that the case? But the system, again, says still, it's better to be with a parent than not. You know what I mean? And again, these are some flaws in this. I know these aren't great answers for a lot of people to hear. The other problem is evidence. Children can't speak to us in a manner that which, we can collect information. Now I know, medical reports, things along those lines, but we still need proof of who did it, when it happened, how it happened. If a parent isn't willing to talk about that because they're incarcerated, or they have an attorney that's saying you're not talking to anybody right now about any of this stuff, the system can only do so much, because we still have a system that's based upon the preponderance of evidence to take somebody's kids away or to put them in prison. And there's a lot of difficult things that go with this. It's sickening. I mean, you're getting a feeling as what it means to be a police officer that has to deal with this stuff, or a major crimes detective that sees this all the time, or a DCFS caseworker that has to deal with this day in and day out, and the frustration that they deal with. Not a great answer, but it's the reality of a system. It's still, I don't know what to word it any other way, what we could do more, because if we get into the game of taking kids away from parents, just like we were talking about with this AI thing, it could be misused and abused in circumstances that we don't even want to begin to understand. And again, we appreciate you reaching out with it. We appreciate you, being concerned and doing the work that you did. The only thing you can probably take some, maybe some consolation in yourself is that you were a safe space for those kids for the time that they've been dealing with stuff. And thank you for that, because this is just the mean streets, man. It is what it is. And Aiden, we thank you for listening. We thank you for asking. And if you got any other questions, feel free to fire back at us about that.
Yeah, please. Or if you maybe have somebody that
he's texting me right now about he said, can you hear me? Let me get.
I'm showing we're not able to display this camera and mic is what I'm seeing on my.
Yeah, is that what you got? All right.
Probably should just close it out, right? Just say, hey, thanks, something like.
Papa, can you hear me? I'm singing like from Yentl. Papa, can you hear me? Anyway, yay. Let me see if I can get him. Like, I'm not sure. We're not able to split. Yeah, I've seen the same thing. What should I do? Connectivity issues. I don't know, Chris.
Just say, hey, we'll just,
If you can hear me, close it out. All right, cool.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me running?
Well, and at that note, we'll go ahead and close it with,
Go back. Just say, hey, just say like, thanks again for, reaching out to us for that. We appreciate it. I know that's a difficult topic, but, to those of you out there who want to ask us that kind of stuff, we encourage you to do that kind of thing, blah, 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 and then do the closeout.
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll always get Chris. I find a recording of Chris, and I do the closeout with that. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. So, well, but again, Aiden, we thank you for reaching out to us. That's a tough question to answer. We hope we gave you some perspective at least on it. We don't have the answers because we're just cogs in the wheel in this system. We do what we can within our authority, but appreciate you reaching out. Keep doing the good things that you're doing for those kids out there, and can't thank you enough for
thank you
doing your part with that. that being said, I guess we'll close it on there. Hey, Chris, right? We good with that?
Yeah, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
All right.
You're better than ever.
I don't know. It's just, I was hitting
buttons. You to come
like,
back with a different background though when you came back.
I tried. I was thinking I'm just gonna come on like a spaceship or something.
Right.
So, but sorry, I don't know. It just it cut me out, so I apologize.
Sean wrapped it up on the saying like he did his thing.
Perfect.
And said, hey, thanks for getting that email to us and blah blah blah. So
perfect.
Maybe come in with anything about it. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll get back to you as best we can.
Okay. You want me to close it out again, like I always do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate it. We appreciate it, and I know you can go other places to listen, but here we're trying to make it fun. We try to make it interesting. We try and make it educational. Please go to where you get your podcasts. Download, subscribe, leave a rating, review. Tell your friends. Obviously we want to get the word out to make this world a little bit of a better place. Please go if you have any questions, concerns, want to be a guest, have a suggestion for a guest, email, question, anything. Please email us at 3copstalk@gmail.com. Go to our website 3copstalk.com. You can get old episodes. You can also leave us an email on there, and obviously we are up on YouTube. And please, everything from X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I don't know what else is it. Whatever else is on there. Yeah, right. MySpace, Instagram, all that. My daughter's putting our mugs out there and getting trying to get us some more traction to get the word out to people. Yeah, we're doing good. I just have a big head. There's nothing she can do about that. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you next week.